Hey guys, how's it going? It's Andy from MagooInvesting. Happy, because it's going to be Friday by the time I upload this. In today's video, I wanted to kind of talk about something that has been a part of my life as of today because I spent probably 30 minutes on the phone today with my bank, and it reminded me of this kind of basic idea of saving and investing in the stock market that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough, and it has to do with keeping money in banks. And so in today's video, I wanted to talk about the idea of how much money you should be keeping in the bank and how it can be very wasteful to keep a certain amount of money past a couple months worth of expenses. I'm going to talk about 3 factors for how I determine how much money I like to keep in my bank account to make sure I feel comfortable enough with the security of having money on the side, but I'm still able to maximize my gains in the stock market so I can actually retire with enough money to enjoy myself. So before we get started, I do have to say that I'm not a licensed financial advisor and this is not financial advice. Anything you hear in this video is just me giving my own opinions on the stock market, and you need to do your own research before making any investment decisions. Also, if you've been enjoying these videos, really appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe button, as would help my channel out a lot. So this is something that I heard a lot when I was in college. It was, how many digits do you have in your bank account? And kind of the goal was to have 2 commas, meaning that you have at least $1 million in the bank. And the idea of it sounds good because when you have that much money in the bank, you're very financially secure at that point. And that's a fantastic thing to be trying to achieve. But you get to the point where having that much money in your bank account doesn't increase your overall wealth. And I wanted to create this channel specifically to talk about how to build wealth for people that aren't going to be making a lot of money. I'm going to be going into a career with biology that does not make that much money. And the whole idea is that I can retire with enough money to be comfortable, even though I'm not going to be making that much money with my profession. And so today I had to end up calling my bank, Bank of America, because I was reminded that I was paying $5 a month to keep my savings account open, and there's really no reason for me to have that open. So I was losing money pretty much every month because of it. And so I just had to call them up, sit on the phone for 30 minutes on hold to finally close it. But for people that have had a bank account for a while, one of the most frustrating things is when you get that statement towards the end of the month where it shows you how much money you made in interest. And for people that have been paying attention this year, your interest has probably gone down significantly. I've gotten to the point where I've always kind of would rather them just keep the money. I don't want to see like 5 cents being added to my account. It doesn't make me feel very good. But at this point, interest rates are pretty much zero. And doing some quick Google searches, some of the best interest rates that I could find for online banks are sitting at 0.6% APY, which stands for annual percentage yield. And my wonderful bank, which is Bank of America, currently has their savings rate at 0.01% APY. So pretty much I'm not making any money off of interest, and I'm paying $5 a month to keep that account open, so it was a waste of money. But needless to say, I am planning on changing banks within the upcoming months and trying to get away from that 0.01% APY. But with inflation rates currently sitting at 1.2% for 2020, what that means is that keeping your money in the bank, you're actually losing value over time. And the whole point of this channel is to try to build wealth. And if your percentage that you're getting for interest is going to be below the inflation rate, you're not going to be making money. You're actually going to be losing value over time. And so what that means is the more money that you have sitting in the bank, the more money you're going to be losing out due to inflation. And it's kind of the idea that I would have had the same amount of money with this 0.01% APY if I just had the money sitting under my bed. So the whole point of this video is that leaving all of your money in the bank is not a very safe thing to do. It seems like a fantastic idea. I know a lot of people my age. I'm a year out of college. For me, I'm only 6 months because I did 1 year of grad school. But you get to the point where you finally start making money because of your job. And it gets to the point where you haven't had this much money sitting in your bank account for the past, probably the entirety of your life. And a lot of my friends, talking to them since they've graduated, they don't really know what to do with it. They like the security of having it in their account, but they don't really know how much money to invest and kind of how to do it safely. And so what they do is they just kind of freeze and they don't do anything about it. And so the whole idea is that you don't need that much money to invest in the stock market to have incredible returns. One of the examples I always give is that on average, the stock market returns around 10% a year for the entirety of the stock market's history. And so if you're going to invest $1,000 a year every year for the next 40 years, if you just break it down by month, that's like $100 a month. And even at that point, it's going to be $1,200 a year. And if you do that over the next 40 years, by the time I retired, I'd have $532,000 sitting in that retirement account. And depending on who you talk to, that could be a fantastic number. For some people, they'd say that's not enough money to retire on. But for people that want to focus on how to maximize that value and see the importance of trying to beat the market every year, you can go to my main channel. That's how I pick individual stocks to beat out the overall market. But for this channel, I wanted to talk about the psychology of investing and savings. And there's a reason why people like to have a lot of money sitting in their bank account. And the whole reason is that it makes them feel safe. having more money in your bank account means that if you have some sort of unexpected expense, maybe your car breaks down or you have a medical emergency, you're able to pay for things and not really have to worry about it. But there's a point where you have enough money saved in your account where it doesn't help you to keep it in that account. And so I wanted to talk about 3 factors that I look at to kind of determine how much money I want to be keeping in my bank accounts at any given time. And the first one, and probably the most important one, has to do with the stability of your overall income. With a normal job that has a stable paycheck, it's much easier to predict your overall income on a weekly or monthly basis. And when you can plan that out and you kind of have an idea of how much you spend on any given month, you can determine how much money you have left over, and you can determine safely how much money you can invest and still have some left over. And so for people with stable paychecks, it's much easier to determine how much money you can invest safely without having to worry about it. But for someone like myself that currently is living off of the YouTube income, which fluctuates every month, and there's no way for me to predict how I'm going to do. Some months like May, I made way more money than all the other months. And then during the late summer, I didn't make that much money. And so it's really difficult to determine how much money I'm going to bring in on any given month. And because of that, I have to be more conservative on how much money I'm going to invest, because it's possible that the money dries up on any given month. And so if I don't have enough saved up, I'm going to be running off of fumes when it comes to my bank account. So the first factor that I take into account is the stability of your overall income. Number 2 comes from job security. With a stable job that you're not really worried that you're going to be laid off anytime soon, you don't need as much money in the bank because you're not worried about the income that you have completely drying up. And so for someone that can say with pretty much 100% security that they're going to have a job for the next 6 months, you can be a little more aggressive for how much money you're going to invest because you don't have as many surprises in your life that would result in your income going to zero. And so for someone like myself, YouTube is always going to be there. So it's never going to go from 100% of my income to not having any income. For me, it's more factor 1 where it's going to fluctuate aggressively from month to month. So that is the number 2 thing I look at is job security. And number 3 just comes from understanding how much you stress about money. There are some people that can live off of like $50 sitting in their bank account and feel comfortable because they know exactly how much money they spend on any given month. They know how much money they're going to be bringing in, and they're comfortable with that much money in their bank account. There were some times where I tried to invest aggressively, and it got to the point where I was spending a lot of money. I guess not spending, I was investing a lot. And I did have a stable job, but it was getting to the point where I was getting down to like $100 in my bank account on any given month before my next paycheck hit, and it really stressed me out. Putting more money into your investments does result in higher payouts when it comes to a dollar aspect, but it really hurt me on a mental aspect because I was worrying so much about, do I have enough money to pay for these things? Should I put it on my credit card so I can pay it off later? And it just made me feel really bad about my financial security, and I don't think that that's a safe thing to be doing. So I think it's important to kind of take a step back and understand how much you stress about money. If it's something that you're constantly checking it to see how much money you have in your account, maybe it's better to have more sitting in there just to kind of make yourself at ease for any given time when you're investing, because when you're investing, you're not having as much money as you'd expect to go into your accounts. And so I think that's factor number 3 is just understanding how much you stress about money overall. And so I think this is a better way of looking at things compared to kind of the rule of thumb that people talk about is having like 3 to 6 months of expenses, but that's a wide range. That takes a long time to actually be able to save up. And when I look at these 3 factors of the stability of your income, your job security, and how much you stress about actual having money in your account, that's how I determine how much money I like to have in my account. So as of right now, I like to have like 2 to 3 months because I don't stress about money as much, but I do have the fluctuating income that I do need to worry about. But I just think it's something important to think of because the whole idea of this video is that you're losing a lot of money keeping your money in a bank account because at this point, interest rates are pretty much zero. Inflation is going to be between 1% and 2% on the year, and your money is going to be decreasing in value over time. And it is important to have money in your account so you can pay for random expenses or emergencies that you might have in any given month. But you get to a point where you have enough money saved up where it doesn't help you anymore. So I just wanted to have that discussion. Some of the other videos I'm going to have to be talking about the places where I do decide to put my money because it is very important to understand the pros and cons of having your money in certain accounts because there is a big difference between a normal investing account and having into a retirement account. So that's going to be for another video, but I just wanted to have this introduction on the importance of understanding how much money you can safely invest without stressing about it for the long term. So thanks for watching this video. I appreciate all the support. If this is your first time on this channel, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.